government parastatals and commissions, artisans, private companies, market men and women, professional civil servants, and other categories of workers. This is your station. Just visit the marketing department of Pensioners
106.7 FM.
Agbari Gonireke Ibadan, and you will be glad you did. Pensioners FM, the voice of liberation. The voice of liberation.
The time is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. This is news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Buhari seeks truce with NLC, TUC, others. At least 50 people feared dead in a gold mine in Congo. Dozens of people missing in Oregon wildfires. And in sports, fans ecstatic as English Premier League returns. Now the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari has set machinery in motion to avert the strike being planned by organized private labor and the human rights community in reaction to the latest hike in fuel price and electricity tariff. He directed the Ministry of Labor and Employment to dialogue with the labor unions immediately. The meeting is scheduled for today in Abuja. Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo says Nigeria is slowly becoming a failed state and a basket case that urgently needs to be pulled from the brink of collapse. He said this in Abuja while delivering a speech titled Moving Nigeria Away from Tipping Over at a consultative dialogue attended by various socio-cultural groups, including Afenifere, Middle Belt Forum, Northern Elders Forum, or Aneze Ndibo, and Pan-Niger Delta Forum. Obasanjo said he had never seen Nigeria so divided, adding that many of the problems plaguing the country today were due to recent mismanagement of Nigeria's diversity. In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress APC professionals in Oyo State have warned Governor Seyi Makinde against wasting the state resources on the People's Democratic Party (PDP) affairs over his alleged ambition to run for vice presidency in 2023. Arising from its meeting in Ibadan, the APC professionals noted that rather than concentrate on governance, Makinde has endeared himself to mere political jamboree outside the state. The APC group alleged that over 7 billion naira had already been squandered by the governor on activities within the PDP in the last 6 months. Coordinator of All Workers Convergence, Comrade Andrew Emelieze, says Nigerians should be ready to protest against the various unpalatable situations going on in the country. Comrade Emelieze said this on Pensioners FM's program, Voice of Liberation. According to him, why the unpalatable situations in the country have persisted is because Nigerians seem to be comfortable and agree with whatever the government dishes out to them. He therefore called for one voice and unity amongst Nigerians when it comes to protesting, adding that it must not be left to some people or bodies. Recall that some unions in Oyo State and some parts of the country were out to protest against the rise in the price of petroleum and electricity. Meanwhile, bread sellers in Ibadan have commenced a 3-day strike to protest the high cost of bakery materials. Pensioners FM's correspondent Oluwakemi Oyedele roved the city of Ibadan reports that most of the shops did not open for business. A bread seller in Akintola Road, Ibirunke Fumilayo, appealed to the state government to intervene urgently.
The strike is that all their materials increase every day. They will put money on flour, they will put money on sugar, and all the materials, they will increase the price of the bread now after the strike.
As schools across the country are set to resume academic year, students have been urged to avoid drug-related matters that can cut short their lifespan. Image maker of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) in Oyo State, Mutiat Okobi, dropped this hint in a chat with Pensioners FM's correspondent Biwu Mishola shortly after participating as a guest on our station's program Security Lens.
Survivor that is the main thing. We have been home, that is students, we have been home for like about 6 months now. Most of them without taking drugs, and they did not die. So they should just get that lesson that they can actually live without drugs. They can live their life, they can read and be whatever they want to be without taking drugs. So they have to take from that lesson that they can do anything they wish, because drug is only stop someone from achieving his dream. Drug abuse does not bring solution to any problem.
It would be recalled that the agency had recorded landmark achievements recently in the seizure, arrest, and conviction of drug dealers. This is news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Agbarigu Niriki Badon. Let's now talk some pension and labor stories around the world. Federal government has scheduled a special meeting with representatives of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, their affiliates, as well as members of civil society organizations, as one of the ways to end incessant industrial actions by workers. The Ministry of Labour, Chris Ngige, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen after a meeting he held with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja. Ngige said the meeting is slated for today. Meanwhile, Canada's $330 billion National Pension Fund will allocate more money to fill deals by companies it owns in search of higher returns, as said by its top executive. Chief Executive Officer of the Canada Pension Plan Investment Board, Mark Machin, said the strategy is part of the fund's efforts to generate alpha after a strong rebound in equities since last March. You are still on to news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM Ibadan. Now to other stories. At least 50 people have been feared dead after a gold mine collapsed in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, local authorities say. The accident in the makeshift mine occurred following heavy rains in the town of Kamituga in South Kivu province. Photos and videos on social media showed hundreds of people at the site, some of whom could be heard wailing on a hillside around the mine shaft entrance. In Somalia, at least 6 people have been killed and another 20 injured in a suicide bombing outside a mosque in the Somalian port city of Kismayo. Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for the attack. According to report, the armed group, which has ties to Al-Qaeda, recently and regularly launches attacks on government officials, journalists, and prominent businessmen, as well as civilians in the volatile nation in the Horn of Africa. Meanwhile, Oregon Governor Kate Brown says dozens of people are missing in Oregon wildfires that have displaced tens of thousands of people. She implored, despite reports of looting. Oregon's Emergency Management Director, Andrew Phelps, said they were braced for a mass fatality even from the fires. Afghan government and the Taliban have begun in the Gulf state of Qatar after months of delay. United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called the meeting historic as he flew to Doha for the opening ceremony. The talks were due to start after a United States-Taliban security deal in February, but disagreements over stage as stirred violence in Afghanistan, where 4 decades of war are at a stalemate. Thousands of migrants and refugees left without shelter after a day and a fire on the Greek island of Lesbos have been protesting against the construction of a replacement camp. Almost 13,000 people had been living in squalor in the overcrowded Moria camp and are desperate to leave the island. The island's residents also oppose the reconstruction of the camp and have blocked roads to stop aid deliveries. In the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson has urged Conservative members of Parliament to back his plan to override part of the Brexit withdrawal agreement. In a Zoom call with about 250 of them, he said the party must not return to miserable squabbling over Europe. The EU has warned the United Kingdom that it could face legal action if it does not ditch controversial elements of the internal market bill by the end of the month. This is news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM. We will be back with entertainment and sports stories. First to entertainment. Jamaican reggae pioneer Frederick Nathaniel has died at the age of 77. The legendary musician fronted the reggae and ska band Toots and the Maytals from the early 1960s. Nathaniel passed away peacefully in Kingston, Jamaica, surrounded by his family. And now to sports. Fans are in an ecstatic mood as they anxiously await and have the return and resumption of the English Premier League. FA Cup winners Arsenal set the ball rolling after overcoming champions Liverpool on penalties in the season-opening Community Shield on August 29, thus setting the pace for another season of exciting, action-packed football in the English top flight. Meanwhile, Alexander Lacazette has opened scoring of the EPL 2020-2021 season. To end the news around the world on Pensioners 106.7 FM, here is a recap of the top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has sought at least 50 people have been feared dead in a gold mine in Congo. In the United States, dozens of people are missing in Oregon wildfires. And in sports, fans are excited as the English Premier League returned. For any information, contact us on these mobile numbers 0812-008-6270 or 0812-188-9462. You can also visit us at Oyo State Pensioners House at Barigo, Unirike, Ibadan. The news editor is Yetunde Oke. On behalf of the production crew, I am Babafemi Obidei. Good afternoon and thanks for listening.